John MarvellOwU walked into the recording studio at 107.4 Mountain Radio like someone coming home after a long day. He loved being at the radio station. It was one of his favorite places in all of Cashmere, and just knowing that he got to come every day and speak to the people from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. was a great joy to him. It wasn't often you took a job and got to be the voice of an entire town, and John felt very blessed to be that voice. "Good morning, Gladys," he said to his receptionist. "Any good news today?" Gladys looked up from her computer and smiled at her boss. "Well, there's the story about the upcoming event at the Botanical Gardens. There's the new arrivals to greet, all 4 of them, and there's a new story out of Atlanta that the mayor wants us to talk about." John blew out a whistle. Phew, so many new faces these days. It's nice to see our little town really taking off in popularity. "Well, I'm going to go start the show. Be sure to feed whatever I need to the teleprompter, and I'll read it." John headed into the booth, set down his coffee, and got to work. He turned off the music that had been playing since the night before and queued up the intro for today's show. He'd been doing this for quite some time, for as long as he could remember, at least, and he couldn't imagine doing anything else. His mother had always said when you loved what you did, you never worked a day in your life, and in his case, she'd been right. Some days it seemed that John MarvellOwU worked very little. Good morning, friends and neighbors, and welcome to another beautiful day in the city of Cashmere. I am the voice of Cashmere, the indomitable John MarvellOwU, here with all the news y'all ever need. John started with a puff piece about the high school football team and how they had done last Friday. John claimed to be an alumni of Cashmere High School, but who really remembered these things? John knew that he had not always existed here, and to claim so would have been a lie. Even so, he still liked to pretend, and he supposed there was no real harm in it. Everyone here was from somewhere else, if you came right down to it, and a little harmless make-believe wasn't going to hurt anyone. We hope to see you at the game on Friday as the Cashmere Cryptids go head-to-head with Ravenloft Prep once again. It'll be their 3rd game against them of the season, and I suppose you could say the rivalry stands as strong as it ever has. Football rivalries aside, I would hope that everyone can still come together as members of this town when the time comes. He saw an alert pop up on the teleprompter, and as John read it, he gave a thumbs up to Gladys and turned back to the show. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a report that there's been a wreck over on Old Mill Road that you'll want to avoid. EMS is on the way, but Sheriff Guthrie has reported saying they don't need any looky-loos hanging around the site. Let's hope both drivers are all right." Accidents in Cashmere were pretty rare. Most people chose to walk, but there were a few who stuck firmly to the idea that they needed cars to get around. He wondered if it had been Barbara Kinney again, the woman who was in danger of having her license revoked after the last time. He supposed he'd get a full report when they had done one, and at the heart of it, John was kind of a nosy Parker. He supposed all newsmen were, but his nose seemed to be nosier than most. Today's segment is brought to you by Cashmere Sundries. No matter what you're looking for, Cashmere Sundries is the place to find it. The owner has asked me to mention that Tuesdays and Thursdays are yellow tag sales, and anything you find with the yellow tag is 20% off. So remember to stop by Cashmere Sundries and see what they've got in stock. It's always so important to support local businesses. John took a sip of his coffee and smacked his lips as the warm liquid filled his mouth. It was just the right amount of warm, that he could enjoy it without having to sacrifice taste buds. That was really how he liked it, and though he would never get a taste for iced coffee, he supposed he would have bought most of their stock if they could figure out how to make a good lukewarm cup. As the first bus rolls in, we'd like to welcome Harry Marquess to Cashmere. If he's sitting at the bar in the bus station right now, just know that the community welcomes and accepts you. We do hope you'll be a fine addition to Cashmere. Gladys had said there were 4 new arrivals today, and though we didn't know how she knew these things, she was always up on the new faces in town. She seemed to know about them before they even got here, and though it was definitely a mystery, John had decided long ago to keep his nose out of that one. Gladys was a peach, and if you enjoyed a nice peach, you certainly tried not to pay too much attention to the pit. Sheriff Guthrie has requested that all citizens stay away from the house on 728 Weimer Street. It's nobody's business what's going on there, and it doesn't concern anyone in town. Those caught outside the residence will be fined and jailed if they do not leave immediately. Keep in mind that even though he is only the temporary sheriff, Sheriff Guthrie does have arresting power. I think our temporary sheriff is doing a fine job, and I, for one, will be putting my vote behind him come January. Anyone with half a brain would, John thought to himself. The alternative was a gaggle of deputies that Guthrie had kept around from the previous administration. They were good enough, but none of them really inspired much in the way of confidence. None of them were a match for the sheriff that they had lost. But Guthrie was the closest they were going to come, and that would have to do. He had been sad to hear about the death of Sheriff Masterson, but this was Cashmere, and people did come and go. Whatever was happening on Weimer Street sounded pretty nasty, but the sheriff hadn't even told John what it was. He supposed he had his reasons, but if you wanted someone to report the news, you really needed to give them the scoop. Cashmere Botanical Gardens has asked me to remind everyone of their upcoming Halloween event. Now, before you go checking your calendars, I know it's August, but the garden wants me to remind everyone that they remain open through the support of the community. So if you've been thinking about checking out the garden and their new layout, now would be the time to have a look. Locals get a 15% discount on all ticket sales, so take advantage and have a look at what they've cooked up this year. John would certainly be there on opening night. The garden never failed to impress when it came to their yearly events, and he remembered the one from last year fondly. The place always seemed a little creepy, but it was hard to ignore all the cool stuff that they usually got up to. John wondered where they got the budget for all those things, but he supposed it was best not to ask questions like that. In Cashmere, people who stuck their noses where they didn't belong got them cut off. That's all I've got for the moment. Enjoy the sounds of Cashmere, and I'll see you on our next news break. John sat back as the song began and sipped his coffee some more. This was his all day, every day, and John found that he loved it more and more as the days went by. He was John Marvolo, the voice of Cashmere, and he wouldn't want to be anything else. He could see on the teleprompter that Gladys was sending him notes about upcoming stories, and smiled as he looked at what was coming today. It was going to be a great day in Cashmere, and he hoped that the people out there knew how lucky they were. While the rest of the world seemed to be falling into despair, the people of Cashmere went about their days as if they didn't have a care in the world. Would that everyone could live so well. "John," Gladys said as she came over the intercom, "you've got a caller." John laughed and shook his head. "Is it Sybil again?" He could hear the smile on Gladys's face. "Same time every day. She claims last night she had a visit from Bigfoot." "Put her through," John said as he adjusted the papers on his desk. It seemed the real news could wait, because Sybil's news was rarely educational, but often entertaining. As the song ended and John swapped back over to the mic, he told the people they had a call in. "It's our very own Sybil Matthews, and she has seen something truly spectacular." John swapped it over, and Sybil was overjoyed to have an audience as usual. "Thanks for taking my call. I was sitting on my back porch last night having some tea and decompressing, and who should come out of the woods but Bigfoot. He said he had a message for us, and I think there's no better place to do it than on your show. I'm touched, Sybil, that you would think of us. Among other things that I won't go into, he told me that I needed to let your viewers know that hard times might be on the way. He says it gets stranger in the woods every day and that something big is about to happen. He says not to lose hope, though, because, like many storms before it, we will weather. He seems to have a lot of respect for the people of Cashmere. He calls us resilient and tells us that he knows we'll be here when the storm clears. Well, next time you talk to him, you tell him that we appreciate his vote of confidence and tell him to stay safe out there." "I sure will, John. You keep spreading the good word, and much love from out here in the cedar swamp." John told her to be safe as well, and then sent his listeners back with more music as he looked out the window and over the tops of the roofs in Old Town. There's always something going on in Cashmere, it seemed, no matter who you were or where you were at, and John was just glad he got to bring it to the people who needed it. Whatever storm comes, John told himself, Cashmere will always need a voice, and that voice will always be the unshakable John Marvolo. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel, so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.